Hey everyone, it's Bryce, and I wanted to do a quick little vlog style video, just kind of give you a little bit of an update on what's going on with me, because I have quite an announcement to make. So I'm just gonna get right to it and stop beating around the bush. But a couple of weeks ago, I experienced an integration, and the Bryce that you knew from like previous videos integrated with an alter of ours named Tobias. And I am the integrated alter that resulted from that. So I do still go by Bryce, and my pronouns are exclusively he, him. I haven't decided yet what exactly my new gender identity is. Like, I'm not entirely sure if I'm still non-binary. Still figuring that out. But I do know my pronouns are he, him, and that is what I go by. But give a little bit of background on, first of all, like what kind of happened, and also a little bit about who Tobias was, because he never really got a chance to make any videos on our channel, unfortunately. Like, I know he made a few little posts here and there on our Twitter account, and he did get a chance to talk with some system friends of ours, but like, I know he wanted to make a Meet the Alters video, and he unfortunately never got around to doing that. So that's kind of a little sad, but you know, it is what it is. But Tobias was a trauma holder, and he resurfaced a few months ago, but he's been with us for a very long time. I'm not gonna really go into detail about what type of trauma he held on to, because obviously that's personal, but I will say that it was medical related trauma. So appearance-wise, he was part raven and part human. He had very big black feathered raven wings that grew out from his back, and he originally showed up looking about 10 years old when he resurfaced. We figured out later he started doing a little bit of age sliding. He age slid between like 10 and 16, but he also had like black hair that was like down to shoulder length, and like bangs, like long bangs in the front, and gray eyes. He was very pale, very skinny, and he like had bandages that covered his chest and neck area. So we believe that sometimes with trauma holders, like, there's different ways obviously they can take form in the inner world, but I think in his case, a lot of the pain and the trauma that he held on to kind of took form in like physical injuries in our inner world. Like, I've heard of that happening in other systems before. Like, I think he was probably the only one who really experienced that as far as we know. But he was constantly in a lot of pain, and it was very difficult for him to front for long periods of time. Because even though, like, this physical body doesn't have wings, obviously, when he was fronting in the body, he still felt the weight of those wings, like they were still there. So he walked very hunched over a lot when he was in the body, and this was, of course, very uncomfortable and caused like a lot of back pain when he was fronting, even for short periods of time. Like, I know he tried really hard to try to correct that, but it was really hard for him to break that habit. Also, it was just very exhausting for him to front for long periods of time. So even though he kind of had the desire to front more, it was very hard for him to do it often. But going back to the integration, like a couple weeks ago, he came to like Bryce 2.0, we'll call him that. the Bryce that you knew. Because Bryce did actually experience 2 integrations in his lifetime, but we'll go into detail about that in another video. But Tobias approached Bryce 2.0 about a couple weeks back, and basically was complaining about how he was kind of tired of being in pain all the time, and he didn't want to live like that anymore. And he was just like asking for help. And Bryce 2.0 didn't really know exactly what to do, but he really wanted to help. And like Tobias just started crying and like kind of started asking to be held. So like Tobias was probably the closest to Bryce 2.0. Sorry, it sounds really weird to keep saying that, so I'm just gonna say Bryce, but you know which Bryce I'm talking about. But yeah, he was very close to Bryce, and of course Bryce was willing to oblige and started hugging him and comforting him. And as that started happening, like their bodies just started to fuse together. Like if you've ever seen Steven Universe, like when there's a gem fusion, just picture the 2 gems, like their bodies when they start to like kind of melt together, I guess. That's essentially what was going on. And like they weren't trying to do it, it just sort of started happening. And it started to like freak Rainia out because they were close to the front at the time, and Rainia was starting to sense what was going on and was actually getting ready for work at the time, so it was the worst possible timing. But yeah, so they started doing that, and then they unfused again, and like I think Bryce knew that like it might end up being a permanent thing, and kind of just reached out to a system friend of ours briefly and explained what was going on, and was like, hey, I think I might be starting to fuse with Tobias. I don't know if it's going to be permanent, but this is a thing that's happening. And so yeah, like after that happened, like I don't know, like after that, I guess they just both decided, I guess this is a thing we have to do. So started to fuse again, and at that point, I guess Bryce was kind of waiting to see if it would end up being permanent. Well, Bryce as in like me now. I was waiting to see if it would be permanent. And yeah, so it ended up sticking. Like I said, it wasn't exactly planned, but I think honestly it's been good for both the old Bryce and Tobias. Like I feel like in a way it's kind of like they both kind of got healed from a lot of things. Like this was kind of their way of healing. And sorry, my phone pinged and it made me a little distracted for a minute. But so yeah, like I feel like a lot more at peace now. And like it's kind of weird when you first integrate because you want to believe that not much has changed, but the more you're kind of like figuring stuff out, you realize that you are a new person. Like you're never gonna entirely be either of those old people. Like you're gonna see aspects of both people in you, but you're still your own person now. And like that's kind of how it is for me. I am the new Bryce. So like as far as things that have changed, like I said, I'm still figuring out my gender identity. I do know I experience a lot more dysphoria now in the body. Sorry, my emo bangs are trying to like eat our face here. But yeah, I do experience more dysphoria now than I used to, which is a little weird. Um, like, I'm kind of in the same boat as Aiden now. I try to, like, I'm actually wearing a binder right now, but I try to, like, hide my chest more now, and, well, the body's chest, technically, but I don't know. That's kind of new, and it sucks, but it is what it is, I guess. Um, what else? I feel like I hold the body a little differently. At least that's what people have told me. Um, I think my speech pattern is a little different now. Like, you can still hear a lot of the old Bryce in my voice, obviously, but I don't know. It's a little different, I guess. I also am a lot more comfortable being around people now, which is a really good positive change. The old Bryce tended to get very, like, very uneasy around a crowd of people, or like even if it was people he knew, like if there was like a ton of people around him, and like too much noise going on, he got extremely overwhelmed. Um, like, I'm never gonna be a social butterfly. I'm never gonna be like Aiden. I'm still always gonna be introverted, but I do feel like I'm a lot more comfortable in a crowd of people now. Like, I'm kind of more at ease. I don't feel that same anxiety that the old Bryce used to feel. So that's a pretty good thing. So yeah, I see a lot of positive changes now. And sorry, my lips are really dry, so I'm just probably gonna be licking my lips. um, uh, yeah, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, anyway, it is a lot of good changes. Um, so like I said, I get that it's difficult sometimes when you have to mourn the loss of people through an integration. And that's, just something that happens. Um, like, especially for people that knew those alters personally and were friends with them. Um, like, I know it's tough to kind of have to say goodbye to that person that they were. Like, even though technically they're not, like, gone, like, I'm still having, like, parts of those two people be a part of me. Um, like, I am still a new person, too, at the same time. So, like, I get it is a loss. It is something to mourn, but I hope that people can take comfort in knowing that, like, I'm actually okay. Like, this was actually really good for me, and, like, while you don't really need an integration in order to heal, um, like, in our case, it actually was a pretty big step and an important part of my personal healing journey. So it's just something that, like, Tobias needed and that Bryce needed, and, like, it's really benefited me and benefited those people that they were. Um, like, Tobias isn't in pain anymore, and now I can kind of carry on the person that Tobias was through me. So, like I said, I'll go into a little more detail later, maybe in another video, about the very first integration that Bryce experienced. Because, like I said, that's kind of a whole other story in itself. But, so yeah. I guess, sorry, I have tinsel in my hair. This is the fun part of having a blog style video, is I'm just gonna be random and notice random things without cutting anything out. And the reason we have tinsel in our hair is because we went to a little holiday event recently, and the theme was, what was it? Celestial bodies. So Rainia got a bunch of glitter and, like, little fairy tinsel in the hair. So we still have that. But anyway, sorry, getting sidetracked. So yeah, also, we probably aren't really going to be like super active for the rest of the like year. I mean, I know the year is almost over, but we experience a lot of depression, like seasonal depression and PTSD related depression and anxiety this time of year. So that's kind of why we've been a little less active lately. But hopefully things will change soon with that. We appreciate your patience with us while we work through stuff. I mean, this channel isn't exactly a job for us. We're just doing it to kind of educate and help others. But, we never want to make it like a chore for us. And so that's why, our mental health comes first. And we are going to take care of ourselves and worry about the channel later. But we do want to try to continue to put things out there when we feel up to it. And I know Aiden wanted to do a live stream, I believe January 1st. He wanted to do a live stream for the channel and do like a little Q&A thing, and it's actually going to fall on his birthday. So you can celebrate that with him if you want to join him for that. I'm not going to really do the usual outro. I think you kind of know what to do at this point. Subscribe, support our channel, like this video if you liked it, and thank you for your constant support for us and our system. I was gonna say a thing. What else was I gonna say? Oh, so yeah, whatever it is you celebrate this time of year, we hope you celebrate it safely and enjoy yourselves. And if this is a difficult time of year for you or your system, then I'm gonna send lots of love and support out to you, and I hope that you stay safe and take care of yourselves. And I will talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.